Good evening. My name is Margaret LaForest. I am with the City of Quincy as the Director of Coastal Resiliency and Sustainability. It is truly an honor to be your host and MC on behalf of Mayor Koch here this evening. An hour of networking with community-based organizations. Who knew there were 33 and counting organizations doing eco-action in our community? I need, if you are affiliated with one of the logos on the screen, can you raise your hand? This room is, and I don't know, Mario Mazaramus, like, how many hands can you raise?
I only have 2.
You only have 2, but there's probably many more of you that have multiple organizations. Come on in. Multiple organizations that you'd be affiliated with. So I really appreciate the call to action when we put this event together for so many of you to come out this evening. We have an action-packed program. Everybody has limited speaking time as we go through this panel. I do want to give a shout out. I saw him in the room, our new Ward 3 Councilor, Walter Hughley. And I did see some of our Office of Healthy Homes team make it over from another event. We do have Mayor Koch also offsite at another event this evening. Busy week being Community Development Block Grant. So with that, my portion of the evening is a bit deeper in the lineup. I'm going to start off with our Decarbonization and Energy Efficiency panel. So what we're going to do is move kind of from speaker to speaker to be really efficient. We do have note cards. If anybody has questions, because of the volume of speakers, and we are trying to keep it to an hour for the presentation, we may go about 10 minutes over. But I do have note cards that Issa's going to hand out. We welcome you to put your contact information and your question, your comment, your feedback, your suggestions. And if we don't get to the Q&A, because I think at the end, if we opened it up, we'd probably be here for a long time. So we do want to make sure that we're able to address any questions and concerns. So please do fill those out. Without further ado, we are going to welcome from Mass Save, representing the Mass Save partner, NECO, Matt Cooley.
Hi, everybody. Let's see, make sure I got this. I'm Matt. I am with NECO, Mass Save partner, and I wanted to just talk to everybody a little bit about what you can get through Mass Save here in Quincy. Welcome to the Home Energy Saving Workshop. We first want to thank the City of Quincy and our partnership with Quarry over there. Thanks very much. Done quite a bit of work through hi Quincy, through the city and with Quincy Asian Resources. And I want to talk a little bit about who NECO is. We're a home performance contractor, community first partner with the City of Quincy, and our job is to help residents connect with the Mass Save program. It's helping you to save energy, cut carbon emissions, and save money on your utility bills. If everybody isn't familiar with Mass Save, it's the state's energy efficiency program that educates and incentivizes residents to make energy efficiency upgrades at home. There are lots of rebates, incentives, a lot of upfront incentives, especially here in Quincy, in 0 APR loans, in order to make changes super affordable, easy, quick and easy. The main goal is to help homeowners, renters, landlords, and small businesses reduce energy consumption and lower the utility bills. If you're not familiar with what a home energy assessment is, it's basically the main service that we provide. Basically it's just what it sounds like, a comprehensive evaluation of a home's energy usage and efficiency. Lot of no cost savings measures are provided on the spot, like shower heads, low flow shower heads, sink aerators. Folks have probably had someone come out in the past and replace their light bulbs. That would have been a Mass Save energy assessment where an assessor came out and did that. So if you saw, we have a table out front. If anybody wants to sign up at the end, I have a bunch of cards and I'll be at the table out there. But during a home energy assessment, again, 0 cost savings measures provided. including programmable thermostats, high-efficiency shower heads, advanced power strips. And then we also take it a step further. We look at the heating system, health and safety check is done, and we're looking really at insulation, windows, looking for air sealing, basically a lot of cracks. We have a lot of old housing stock here in Massachusetts. And then at the end, a report is provided that basically just has all of your, what would make the home more efficient and what can Mass Save basically pay for to achieve better results there. Insulation is one of the main savers, one of the most cost-effective ways you can make your home more energy efficient. Here in Quincy, if you live in a 1 to 4 unit home, insulation is covered at no cost, independent of what level of income you're at. So a lot of people are having their homes weatherized with no cost insulation and no cost air sealing. Current rebate for homeowners, this slide is actually made for the general entire state. So in most cities, it's 75% off. But again, here in Quincy, rebate or incentive for insulation is 100%. That's upfront. So that's not a rebate you have to sit and wait for. It's just off the top. You can have the home insulated and sealed up for zero cost after you have an energy assessment done. Lots of heavy rebates for heat pumps as well. They can be income eligible, so we don't really like to dig in too deeply there, but if electrification is something that you've thought about or you're curious about, we really, really recommend having an assessment done where they can come out, take a look, get you a quote, and figure out what could be covered through Mass Save, if not the entire thing, for heat pumps as well. And why use Mass Save? It's pretty straightforward. Cost savings, increased property value, tenant satisfaction if you're a landlord, great incentives and rebates, and then of course cutting carbon emissions, which is the real reason for the advent of the program. We also like to let everybody know if you're a renter. We find a lot of times when we're out knocking in the community, people say they don't think they can take advantage of it because they're a renter. We really do want to just spread the word and let people know that that's totally okay. You can have somebody come out as a renter and have an assessment done on your unit, because you're probably eligible for a lot of great ways to make the home more comfortable and more energy efficient. Now take advantage with an assessment. Like I said, I'll be out there at the table if anyone wants to stop by and chat and ask questions. More than happy. You can check us out, Neeco, neeco.com. Happy to help. And I think that's all I've got. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Amanda Formica and I work at National Grid. I'm part of our municipal energy efficiency team. So I am fortunate enough to get to work with cities and towns like Quincy, a small group of cities and towns actually who have a lot of ambition around reducing their energy and cutting their carbon emissions. And so among the communities that I work with, 13 of them, Quincy is, I would say, at the top of ambition and leading the way on taking it full advantage of our Mass Save programs to help save on costs and on energy. And I'm here to help the city then help you all access Mass Save as residents, as business owners, and of course for our city buildings. And I know as somebody who's passionate about climate and clean energy issues, like many of you all, I'm always looking for good news and for ways to take action. And I'm here to tell really good story, really good news to you all, and I'm happy to be able to do that. And some ways that you all can take action and continue to get involved with the work that we're doing. And it's so amazing to see everyone here connecting with each other and networking because we have so much in common and so many opportunities to align. So Quincy Community Solutions, this is and actually, I'll just say, so Mass Save, Matt already talked about it. Everybody contributes to it if you're a customer of one of the companies here, including National Grid, if you live or work in Quincy, whether you're a business or a resident, If it's a building, we have an incentive for it to save energy and to reduce emissions. And we've been partnering together for the last 18 months and will continue to partner through this program called Community Solutions that we have, again, for communities that have a lot of that ambition. And Matt talked about especially 1 to 4 unit homes, but I again wanted to mention that if it's a building, we have incentives for it. So I talked to some folks here who are business owners. If those of you who are parts of house of worship communities, if you're part of a nonprofit that rents or owns a building, multifamily, new construction, if you're building a building, everything, we have programs for those, and I encourage you to take a look at our masssave.com website. But I especially want to call out our income eligible program. So if you use WIC, if you use SNAP, if you have a utility, a discount, the RR2 rate on your utility bills, all of our incentives for Mass Save are covered at no cost for any eligible upgrades on your home. So I really want to make sure that you talk to the folks here from QCAP, Lauren and her team who are in the room, who are really key partners in our work in Mass Save to make sure that that everybody can access our programs, especially folks who might be on a budget. And that for those same folks, we do have a discount rate for both gas and electric. So please, if you think that, or you can ask Lauren about what those annual income limits are, please ask, because a lot of folks don't really realize that they qualify. And then I also want to shout out Quincy Asian Resources that Matt shouted out, really leading some awesome work in Quincy to make sure that these programs are accessible regardless of the language that you and your household speak. A lot of folks might feel uncomfortable if they're maybe basically from a different culture, if they're new to the US, what have you. And so that's really important work to make sure that everybody can equitably access our programs. And the Community First Partnership is a way that we're doing it in Mass Save that Corey is a partner of. And we're also doing some great work in the schools with Quincy Public Schools that I'll mention. So Quincy is actually one of just 24 cities and towns in the state that is considered a designated equity community in our current Mass Save plan. So that means that probably everybody in this room, as long as you live in Quincy, you can probably get your home weatherized at no cost. So please take advantage of that through the end of next year. We want to be able to make sure that folks are doing that. And you could very likely, if you wanted to get heat pumps, we have enhanced incentives for that. And I just wanted to shout out all of the Quincy residents leading the way, weatherizing their homes and installing heat pumps, electrifying 655 homes last year, well over $6 million in incentives. This is just in 2025, and this information is publicly available on masssavedata.com. There's a lot of information at the city level that you can access about the amount of savings that have happened in Quincy going all the way back to 2013. So please take a look. And we have a lot of tools available now more than ever to help you navigate your own decarbonization journey for your home or for your business. These are for residents. So, if you're struggling with geez, my HVAC system's pretty old and I'd maybe be interested in heat pumps, our heating comparison calculator, you can enter some info about your bill and your zip code and come up with your costs. This is how much a gas system would cost in my home. This is how much ducted mini splits, geothermal. It gives you 10 different options for your specific home. Our decarbonization consultation, that's so that you feel prepared. A lot of us, if you're not super handy or don't work with a lot of contractors, it might feel kind of overwhelming. How do I compare all of these apples to apples HVAC quotes I might be getting for my home? Well, the decarbonization consultation can help you do that, help you feel prepared, help you feel like an expert talking with experts. The heat pump installer network, we have 23 HVAC contractors based in Quincy that are currently part of our heat pump installer network. You have to be part of that network in order to install heat pumps in people's homes so that we have some quality assurance that the contractors know what they're doing. But I challenge you, I know that there are more than 23 HVAC contractors in Quincy, so I challenge you to, if you know a contractor who has their business here, encourage them to get involved in the heat pump installer network, grow their business, talk to more customers, and it really just takes a form and a couple of trainings, and you can get into that network. And they provide a lot of professional development. So those are some tools that we have for you. And then over to city buildings. It's been really amazing and impressive in the last 18 months just how aggressively the city has been going after, like, what can we do to reduce our utility bills, to decarbonize, to help our residents, going after every grant. I mean, I was going through the list with Margaret getting ready for this and realizing, like, the city has won every single grant so far that they've applied for in the last year and a half related to this work. Some of it, I'll just call out some of the really cool work with the public schools. So we have a Mass Save residential education grant, and in fact it's open to nonprofits and cities to do up to $25,000 in a calendar year to do education and outreach related to energy efficiency, especially in environmental justice communities. So the city won one of those grants, and with some of the work, some of that money, there are some scholarships for public school teachers in the schools. And we've also, they took initiative to organize a training through our Mass Save partner, NEED. They're a nonprofit, National Energy Education Development Program. And a bunch of teachers, middle school teachers, got trained in clean energy education, and they've already started implementing that curriculum in the classrooms. And Margaret and Isa were telling me they've been going to the middle school STEM fairs, and I've already been seeing the results of more students doing projects about clean energy. So we're not just working on projects in the city buildings, which is important, but also thinking about the next generation. And that's part of Mass Save as well. And also the fact that Isa is here as the city energy manager. That's through our municipal energy manager grant. That was a new initiative through Mass Save, and she's been doing some amazing work and getting a lot of training. So Isa can be the one, if you want to learn more about any of this, you can talk to me directly, but I hope that you can talk to Isa and she can help you get to the right place. And just kind of something else we've been doing is the city has been taking advantage of our technical assistance that we offer through Mass Save. So this is a picture of the portfolio prioritization plan. So we got together, looked at the data with an engineering firm of the top 20 energy using buildings in the city, and have also done some deep dive decarbonization assessments of how you might go about electrifying some of the biggest energy user buildings in the city, and really been thinking through a strategic energy management plan. And we meet monthly with the Public Buildings Department to be thinking through, okay, well, what's the best way to be spending available funding, to be going after incentives, to be going after grants. So we're stacking that funding together to make innovative projects happen. And it's really impressive. $6.5 million in grants and incentives over the last 18 months. So this is just from municipal buildings. A big chunk was and I'm sure Paul will talk about next, the Snug Harbor Elementary School, which won a big grant from the Mass Clean Energy Center, $4.5 million. And that was really important because in an environmental justice community, and also Margaret was able to look at the flood risk for that one to keep that in mind for making investments. So 35 and counting energy conservation measures, including the lights in this room and in the library that were just done last year, which was cool. So I will leave it at that and hope to talk to you all more and hand it over to Paul.
Thank you. My name is Paul Hines. I am the Commissioner of the Department of Public Buildings. Not only a city resident, I'm a Mass Save beneficiary as well at my home. And I urge you to do that. So Amanda's presentation was great, and she kind of led into some of the topics that I want to address. And that is the overall efforts that we've made in the Department of Public Buildings. My department is responsible for 100 buildings and structures. So we're rather busy. We have a very large electric bill. We have a very large gas bill. So for every building that we can convert or make more efficient, it saves directly to the taxpayer, the bottom line. And that's, certainly something to be proud of and something that's very important to us. Amanda did mention some of the efforts we're doing at the schools. One in particular, the Lincoln Hancock School. We've just recently completed a air-to-water heat pump installation to heat the water of the swimming pool at Lincoln Hancock, which is one of the many measures we're doing there. We've got the domestic hot water heaters that are coming up next, and some other things. So people look at the Lincoln Hancock, they're like, oh, it's a 100% electric building. That's our goal today. But the technologies of the mid-1970s, 100% electric, and the technologies of today are vastly different. Lincoln Hancock is one of our most electric consuming buildings that we have, because it's all electric resistive heat, and that's painfully expensive to operate. So we have plans, and we're going in and going to do a complete fit out of that building in phases, of course, because of all the work we do in all of the schools, we don't have the luxury of swing space. We don't have an extra school building that we can vacate the students out for a year or two, rehab their building, and go back to it. We're limited to about the 10 or 12 weeks of summer vacation. So when the snow days come and the summer gets truncated a bit, that affects us as well. So we have done at Lincoln Hancock through Mass Save and other means. We've done the full LED fit out of the lighting. And Snug Harbor, we're very excited about Snug Harbor. Snug Harbor is 75 years old this year. And you look at it, you don't think it's one of the oldest buildings, but it actually is. A couple of years ago, if you walked through the corridors of it, you would know it was 75 years old. It was a time warp. When I first took this job 10 years ago now, I was really kind of, I'll say disgusted, for the lack of a better word, of the condition of the building. It hadn't been touched forever. So we've really, for the last couple of years, with the support of the City Council, Mr. DeBona in the back and the others, and Mayor Koch, we have already poured millions of dollars into Snug Harbor School. If you walk down the hallways today, you would not know that building was 75 years old. One of the problems is we have to phase things. So we went in, we've got that building almost 100% asbestos-free, which took a lot of work. Taking down ceilings, abating pipes, putting ceilings back because September comes to school. Now this summer, we actually have to take down ceilings we put up last summer to go up and insulate the ducts, run new pipes. But I said it's a necessary evil. We don't have the luxury of swing space. So Snug Harbor will be a fully electric. We're targeting net zero in that 75-year-old building. And we certainly can't do it without the support of Mass Save and the other partners who have given us these grants. I have to shout out Margaret. She has been amazing. I'm like, Margaret, will you slow down? We can only do so much. But one of the $4.5 million Green School Works grant was announced, let's say the first of the month. The deadline was the first of the next month. We had that application done, and it crushed it, and we got the $4.5 million. My department, myself, was busy enough that we've had success in the past doing grant applications and getting grant funding to assist in these projects, but there's not a chance we would have gotten the funding that we've had without her efforts. And supported by Issa, supported by Amanda, all the people at Mass CEC, Mass Saves, National Grid. It's amazing how they all come together. And I know I'm going off script. We'll talk to Squantum School. We're very proud. We just announced last week that the design for the Squantum School has been FIAS certified. That is the largest school in the country to receive that design certification. And it's amazing to do that. And we've got to obviously see it through to construction to continue that and get the certification at the end, but that's absolutely our commitment. I was at the City Council last night, received the approval to do the solar PV array on the roof, coupled with the geothermal wells that are out under the park. When all is said and done, no one will know they're under the park, but it will be churning out the clean energy for that building. The Della Chiesa is currently closed because a number of the students went to the De Cristofaro Center when we opened that 2 years ago. So it does give us an opportunity to go in. We had previously designed a fossil fuel replaced HVAC system about 5 years back to replace incrementally the system that was failing there. But it's a very unique opportunity for that building to be vacant as it is right now. So we went back to the drawing board. We've gone back, which is now going to be a fully electric. And when I say fully electric, I want to be completely honest with you. We are in New England. There are cold days that the heat pump will not heat the school to where it needs to be, and some of our other schools, not Squantum. Squantum's all electric. So we do have gas-fired boilers in these buildings. They are efficient condensing boilers. They're not the old big steam boilers. So on the coldest of days, they will kick in. But the primary and the first responsibility for heating these buildings are our heat pump systems. So Della Chiesa is getting that. We're doing an LED lighting retrograde as we speak. North Quincy High School and Quincy High School, two are the largest consumers of electricity in the city, and that includes all street lights and everything. So they're, Quincy High is not an old building, but with the technologies and the size and the ventilations, they consume a lot. So we've gone in and are already targeting the LED replacements. North Quincy High School, we're going through, much of that was still the fluorescents from the 1980s when that was renovated. We're doing the LED upgrades there, again, with the partners that we've mentioned before, and we've done electrical transformer replacements there to save energy. We've also, it's none of this thing, so I'm going off script and Margaret's going to yell at me. We've done full LED replacements at the Parker School, the Point Webster School, Beechwood Knoll, and Montclair schools. So they're all fully LED converted now, and we continue to plan to continue to do that. And Amanda kind of stole my thunder. Margaret and I are sitting there doing these sheets, and we're going through my head, and I'm not patting my back, but we're so busy, we move on and we kind of forget what we've done, because there's always another problem, there's always another flood. I walked in the building today, I'm like, oh damn, we forgot this building. And that triggered me to all the branch libraries. So Amanda mentioned we did the full LED replacement here. We've already done the condensing boilers here. But the North Quincy Library, funded entirely by the City of Quincy, the City Council, the Mayor, and the taxpayers, all the thermal windows, we literally gutted that building. We closed it down, insulated it fully, all new windows, LED lighting, all new HVAC systems, all very efficient. A couple years prior to that, we had done the HVAC system at Adams Shore Library. We've done the LED conversions there as well. So our focus is across the board, not just our schools. So we partner with everybody. A lot of these programs like to stack funding. So we've been very successful in the accelerated repair program. I won't list them off, you can read. And I'm going to assume, Margaret, and can we have all these slides on the website?
We will.
So if you go to quincyma.org, quincyma.gov, even if you're triggered to the Department of Public Buildings or another link, all of these slide presentations, the slide decks will be there. You can further peruse this information at your leisure. But we've been very successful partnering with the MSBA. These are what they call the accelerated repair programs. And this is largely energy efficiency projects. It's windows, it's doors, it's roofs, because the roof systems now with the new energy codes, you've got a foot or so of insulation on them. You save an amazing amount of energy with these projects. All right, and again, I said it goes beyond just our schools and beyond our libraries to our new construction. We obviously are subject to the same energy codes as everybody else. We target beyond that. Again, the codes change. They constantly get more stringent. We're aware of that. But we're also aware we're paying the taxpayers when we're paying an electric bill or a gas bill. So all of our buildings, we try to exceed the energy code that's compliant at the time, whether it be LED lighting, energy recovery ventilation systems, the installation of infrastructure for EV charging stations. The animal shelter, when we built that, that's a 100% electric building. There wasn't a lot of rooftop left after we elected to do the green roof. So it's got a beautiful green roof on that building that really is an extension of the park up there. If you haven't seen it, 99 Quarry Street, I recommend that you do. The Furnaceburg Golf Club, obviously that prolongs the recreational activities of that site. It preserved the open space, the rolling hills, the trees, rather than become developed when it turned over. The Quincy Public Safety Headquarters is a huge building. I hate to see what that electric bill is going to be, but we're working on ways to mitigate that. But it is fully compliant. It's LED lighting. It's all the energy efficient ventilation. In addition to the parking garage behind it, we do have a solar canopy being installed as we speak through our partnership with Select Energy and PowerSave and the CEC. All right. So back to the municipal energy. I made it a number of times reference to about 18 months ago when we signed the community compact. But long before that, we took advantage as well of the largest of all these programs, including the green communities. So that compact just upped the ante. We are entitled and eligible for more grants and more funding and higher levels than without that compact. So you can see here, since being designated a green community, which I think was 10 or 12 years ago, we've reduced our overall energy usage by 26%. And for the largely older buildings that we have, the inventory, that's a remarkable feat. Margaret shared with me today that the Quincy Housing Authority has actually hit 50%. I will say they don't have as many buildings as I have, but we are committed to get there as well. The solar PV arrays, they're on 13 schools as we speak. We're planning to go more. Della Chiesa has one, but we may have to replace that. The roof needs some work. But the De Cristofaro Center is now solar ready. The Southwest Middle School is solar ready. We're about to put a new roof on the Kennedy Center, pending funding, which we're making solar ready as well. So all of these buildings are going to be solar ready. We currently have 4 buildings in the pipeline with the MSBA for new roofs, 4 school buildings, one of which, Parker School, has a system that we're going to take down and replace. Atlantic Middle School, Broad Meadows Middle School, and Point Webster. Point Webster does not yet have a system, so that will be a new system to add to our inventory. The Snug Harbor School, we're hoping to be able to, the panels have to come off for a roof there. We're not yet in the MSBA for that one. We weren't quite ready to get there. And one of the great points of the MSBA Accelerated Repair Program now is they've just recently begun fronting the costs for ADA compliance. So the Snug Harbor School, we've done a lot to it. We've got a $200,000 grant now. We got a $250,000 grant a couple of years ago. We did the ramp at the front entrance, but it still needs an elevator. So with having delayed like we did, we quite likely will get about a 60% rebate or reimbursement from the state for the cost of an elevator in that building. And that one needs one desperately. There's people that are currently in need that have to leave the building and go around outside to get into another level of the school and such. So that one's important to us. We've already upgraded the bathrooms, made them compliant. So you walk before you can run. We're getting there. Our goal is to make it 100%. The offsite solar, most people don't know this, but the Department of Public Buildings and the Quincy Public Schools have partnered with private developers. So there's landfills all through southeastern Massachusetts. There's 6 of them actually at this point, where private developers have gone in on landfill and other marginal areas and developed solar fields. You drive by them all the time. You see that, an acre of solar panels on the ground. So we are the recipient of that green energy. So we pay for that green energy. We had no capital outlay, but what we pay is so much less than the going rate with National Grid. So our energy use is green, and there's a cost savings there, and it enabled those private developers to develop that in a meaningful and financially beneficial way, because of the municipality partnering with them. They could take the tax credits that we don't need because we don't pay income taxes, and they sell them on the market, and there's this whole convoluted structure that they do that I don't really need to understand. I just know it benefits us. The competitive bidding, so the Department of Public Buildings goes out to market every 3 years or so for energy, for both electric and natural gas. We currently have an agreement with British Petroleum to provide our electricity. I think we're paying 12 cents a kilowatt hour for that now. National Grid's rates are 19 cents, and we use a lot of electricity. So it may only seem like 7 cents or so a kilowatt, but you multiply that by the thousands and thousands of kilowatts we use, and it's a significant savings. Particularly now, because that rate is locked in for the next 2 years. And we know energy costs are going up. Electric rates are going to go up, but we're locked in at that 12 cents. Heretofore, it was cheaper to be on the National Grid natural gas. We went to market, all the third-party suppliers came in higher than National Grid at the time, and we continuously monitor it. But even now, it's as crazy as what's happening now with the fuel costs, the natural grid gas is going to go higher. Those third parties can't get it cheaper than National Grid. So our bill is going to go up, but it's still our cheapest alternative for electricity at this point. And in partnering with the mayor's office, the Department of Public Buildings worked with Shelley Dean back in the day, and we launched the community aggregation program. So the residents of the city of Quincy, from Dine Energy, is the supplier of electricity for the citywide for all consumers, private consumers, unless they've opted out. They can opt out, go back to the grid. They can opt out and go to another third-party supplier. But one of the benefits of the aggregation that we did, there's different levels of green energy. You can elect to pay a higher rate, which is still less than National Grid rate, sorry, and get 100% green energy that you're burning. And there's a menu of levels you can get depending on how much you want to pay. So that's a great advantage there. We touched earlier, Amanda did, about the education development and how we've seen it in action. So both for the teachers and staff in their training, and now that they're putting it into the curriculum, and it's coming out in the students. A number of the solar panels that we have too, the solar arrays, including the 2 parking garages that are going up in Quincy Square right now, will have solar on top of them. They are city-owned buildings, and they'll have the solar arrays, and the one that's on the police station there. But the ones that are in the schools have data portals displayed on the wall. You can see in real time the production and what it's doing to the power meter. So even with the 10 or 12-year-old panels, 60% of the energy, the electricity used at Snug Harbor School, for instance, is generated by the solar panels on the roof. Obviously, most of the schools are unused in the summertime. They're unoccupied other than the staff. So when we're generating more power than we're using, our meters roll backwards, and they accumulate credits on our invoices. So when the fall comes and school starts, we're using electricity again, but we're burning our credits. We're not paying for electricity. So we burn all of our credits before we start paying to our third-party supplier, British Petroleum. Am I done? All right. So I am done. Again, you feel free to reach out to us, the Department of Public Buildings. All of this is going to be on the website. Appreciate your time. I have to say, Keith Johnson, where are you? I almost dropped your name at the City Council last night because they were questioning my commitment to the green energy at Squantum School. I was going to say, Keith Johnson lives across the street from me, and he's not pounding on my door, so we're good. So, next is Ed Brennan from our TPAL department.
Hi everyone, how are you? My name's Ed Grennan. I'm the Director of Traffic, Parking, Alarm, and Lighting for the City of Quincy. I've had the honor of holding that position for the last 5 years. I've been with the department since 2016, since it got spun off of the DPW and a couple other departments. So happy to be here tonight to talk about our efforts. We are going to go a little bit of a different direction with what you're going to see here from me tonight. We have done a lot of energy efficiency. We have all new streetlights, or more than 8,000 streetlights in the city have been converted to LEDs. All of our 110 traffic signals are all LED. There's been huge savings on that front since we started. But what I'm going to speak to tonight is some of our efforts to be a little bit cleaner in our transportation network here, to get people out of their cars, get rid of those single vehicle trips that are really, clogging up the roads, giving off emissions that are smogging up the air. So I'll touch first on Clean Transportation, our cycling network. Cycling, big part of getting people out of cars. We have a bicycle commission that's very active in the city. They assist the mayor in promoting projects, certain activities. There's representatives from my department, planning department, DPW, the mayor's office, city council, a couple other departments. There's a residential piece of that I think there's 5 resident members. It's very active. It's an open meeting. Residents who aren't on the commission are very welcome to attend and listen and learn and speak and give their feedback. I encourage you to jump on if you can. They're on Zoom. They're third Thursdays, I think, of every month, 6:30. So that's all on the city website if you have any interest in that. The multimodal master plan is something that we've just completed. That is an update to our 2014 pedestrian and bicycle plan that was performed by the MAPC, the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. It's really been a interesting effort. There was some workshops, both in person and online. There was a wiki map that people could go in and drop pins and tell us what their concerns were. So that is a pretty extensive document that should be posted on the website pretty soon. We're just going through the final review of that. That's really a data-driven evaluation of our current situation here for multimodal. That's cars, that's bicyclists, that's walking, and where we see ourselves being able to go in the next 5 to 10 years. So I'd encourage you guys to check that out, please. Some of the other things we have going, we've been very lucky with state grants. We're bringing blue bikes to Quincy, which is very exciting. There's always been a barrier because there's a certain distance that is needed to the next blue bike station in order to have a network. And we're always waiting for Boston to expand close enough to Quincy that we could grab right on. So they expanded over to Pope John Paul Park in Dorchester, which is going to allow us to sort of hop on to the network, get in there. There's 10 stations planned. We received $250,000 from Mass DOT. There's another $150,000 programmed through the Metropolitan Boston Planning Organization that we're eager to get contracted on that, to get going on that. So that's something we're very proud of. And then another thing just to talk about is bike data analysis. And this is going to sort of feed into my next slide. We have made, through the mayor's leadership and with the partnership with the city council, a lot of improvements to our smart signal network in town. And what that provides us is constant data, constant analytics that help make us able to make data-driven decisions on how our network works. So it gives us bicycle counts that can go back. We have it at over 80 of our 110 intersections in the city. Bicycle counts go back depending on how long the signal has had the smart signal. If it had it back in 2019, we could go see on like a Friday in October in 2019 how many bikes went through this intersection. Compare it to recent data. I'm happy to report there has been an increase in bike use in the city, percentage-wise. It's up over 70% of an increase percentage-wise as it was 5 years ago. So to go to some of these other smart signal initiatives, transit signal prioritization, excuse me. This is getting people out of their cars onto the MBTA buses. In our network where we have the smart signals, there's in-unit technology on the buses that speak to our signals, giving them, hey, a bus is coming, like let's hold that green a little bit longer to get that bus through. What that does, it makes our bus network more efficient, more reliable, more people are gonna wanna take it. So that's something we're very proud of. And then we're also gonna point out our, this is our smart signal, our analytics. This is showing like turn movement counts, how many pedestrians, how many bikes, percentage of trucks. So again, this is informing us on how we make decisions at all of our intersections. And then lastly, just to touch on electric vehicles. As you can see here, electric vehicles, people think that there aren't many people that drive EVs. That percentage is substantial and it's growing every day. So it's clear that we need to make investment in this sort of technology. We've been happy to work with the Mass CEC, the Clean Energy Center, to get a grant to conduct a feasibility study for on-street electrical charging. That's in progress. We've also been working with Mass CEC and the MAPC for a alternative energy EV charging / car share pilot program. There'll be a solar canopy that charges an EV car share zip car, which is a pilot program that we won in town. We're still citing that, but that's something that we're excited to push out. As Paul stated, the 2 new garages in downtown Quincy are gonna have some energy initiatives. They'll have PV and they'll also have 150 new EV charging stations. on day one. And then I'm just rushing to give you guys some time back. So the Quincy Housing Authority has also been working with Matcha. They're going to have 36 new charging stations at their residents across town in 2026. So these are all things that we're proud of. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us, reach out to Margaret. She'll connect you. And I will give this back to Margaret.
And this is just a glimpse of what your city departments are doing. I mean, sustainability across each of our departments. Our next panel for natural resources is going to have air and water quality monitoring by Marley Castley, our Commissioner of Public Health, flora, fauna, and open space by Heather Liss, our environmental scientist, and you'll hear from me on resilient coasts. So, Marley, come on up.
Hello, my name is Marley Castley. I'm the Commissioner of Public Health for the City of Quincy Health Department. And next year will be 5 years as the Commissioner, which I can't believe it flies by. But I am here to talk about a great grant that we had with Margaret since she's been here. We've gotten some phone calls and some emails from residents in Quincy Point, Germantown, House Neck in regards to air quality due to the Weymouth compressor station, the Braintree Clean Harbors, and the Quincy Point Four River Twin River Technology Building. And so today we received the grant. We're going to be partnering with Purple Air, and basically they're going to be installed in May in the locations designated here, which will give us some coverage. Fernsbrook Golf Course, because it's high in elevation, we'll be able to monitor the air, and also it'll be a little bit of our control area. But also we have House Neck, the Nickerson Post, and the O'Brien Towers and Pignano Towers. And so basically what that will do is that will monitor the system, and you'll see here basically the AQI color scale, and this is all public information through purpleair.com. You'll be able to see all the sensors once they go up. But this will be able to detect any of the winds that could be coming from the compressor station to these designated locations. And so that will give us some great feedback in order to take next steps and actions if we see that the air quality is going into higher levels or unhealthy levels. So this here is also, we have one station, and it is actually at the old Quincy Hospital location. And they've actually taken it upon themselves to install one sensor. And this was a screenshot from just yesterday around 10 a.m. And their AQI was at a 5. You can see their weekly average as well. And this is all on purpleair.com, and you'll be able to see it at your own computers. The next thing I want to talk about is our water quality. So we do water quality for our city beaches. It does not include Wollaston Beach. We get constant phone calls every year as to why the red flag is up at Wollaston Beach, and it is all done by DCR. But the public beach information is all done through the Mass DPH portal, and you can also see it through our website. But we have 13 beautiful beaches around here in the city. I believe it's about 20 miles of coast. And so we do the testing. You basically, I used to do it about 8 years ago. You basically go to the need level and you take the cup, you go and do a sample, and you bring it back to our partner, GNL Labs, right here in Quincy, which is funded through Mass Department of Public Health. That will basically let us know if a beach needs to be closed or if it needs to be posted. So the enterococcus level, if it goes over 104 for 2 consecutive days, the beach will get posted. It gets posted on our social media, and it gets posted on our website. I have lost a few flip-flops when I've had to do the consecutive dates because it becomes low tide when you have to do the sampling. The other part that could factor into a closure could be the 5 sample geomean if it's greater than 35. Basically what that means is after weeks 5 through 13, that's when the geomean kicks in, and it's a 5 sample rate, and if it goes over the 35, it doesn't mean that there's bacteria level. We could have had one bad hit, and it could have been 146, and the others could have been 5s. Well, that kicks in over the geo mean over 35, and unfortunately, we would have to post the beach and close it. And again, that would be all on our website. And so this is the dashboard. You're able to see all the beaches that we have in this beautiful city. We also post them on our website, and you can easily go through the Mass Department of Public Health dashboard, which will give you the information for Wollaston Beach as well. As you can see here, these are our 13 beaches, and you can see where we have exceeded. We had about 5 exceedances that the beach had to be posted, which was shortly taken down the following week of testing. But we have beaches, like Avalon, Baker Brody, Chickatawbit, Edgewater, Germantown Fire Station, and all the way up to Rhoda. So the ones that exceeded were Avalon, Brody, Baker, Chickatawbit, and Parkhurst and Nickerson. There's a different variety of factors that could be. It could be from either too many boats traveling in those areas. It could be if there's geese in the water during our sample. It doesn't necessarily mean that the beach is polluted. And so that is what we do for our testing here in the city. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to me or Margaret if you have any questions, and I'm happy to get back to you with any questions you may have.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Heather Liss. I'm the city's environmental scientist. I am with the Department of Natural Resources, and our department has several divisions. We have parks, forestry, recreation, cemetery, and environmental. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about open space and flora and fauna in the City of Quincy. So in terms of open space, what is open space? What do we mean when we talk about this? So open space can mean a variety of things. It's obviously types of land. They could be publicly owned, they could be privately owned. They could be protected land, they may not have protection. They could be teeny tiny parcels or acres and acres of land. There's a really wide variety. And they could be lands that are natural, that are relatively undisturbed, or they could be managed landscapes that include walking paths or even recreational facilities like courts. There's a little overview of some of the open space we have in Quincy. So we have a lot of open space. If you take a look at the numbers for the entire city, there's 16.77 square miles, which is over 10,000 acres, and of that, 3,600 is zoned open space. That doesn't include open spaces that might actually have a different zoning, which is the case in some situations. That seems like a pretty high number. Well, a lot of that is in Blue Hills, not surprisingly, 2,400 acres, but that still leaves quite a lot that's municipal or privately owned. I won't go through all of this, but I wanted to put this up to give you a feel for what we're talking about when we're talking about open space. So we have everything from municipal parks, school grounds, playgrounds, passive parks where there's not active recreation. That includes a couple of new open spaces in the last few years. Beachcomber Park off of Quincy Shore Drive, Quincy Navy Park up in Squantum, and Zero Harriet Ave by the golf course. We also have things like cemeteries, including several active cemeteries. 11, which I suspect I need to update this to 13 municipal beaches, plus Wollaston Beach. We also include things like traffic islands and medians, small, corridors. We also have an urban forest. So even where there might not be a formal open space, we have over 20,000 street trees. And that doesn't even include the trees that we have in our other parks and open spaces. We also have here in Quincy over 27 miles of coastline, and that's a wide range of different types of open space. Beaches, tidal flats, salt marshes, a bunch of rivers, all of which will be familiar to this group, I'm sure. We have a couple of municipal ponds and many other natural areas. Sometimes people want to know, sometimes people say, I think, I kind of know all that. But often people don't realize that, wow, we have over 50 parks? I didn't know that. I'd like to check some of those out. So how can you find out where they are? So on the left, there's a map that has a little pinpoint on each of our parks. And the website at the bottom, I will just tell you, you can jot that down, or you can reach out to me later if you'd like information on how to navigate to this. But essentially, you would go to the City of Quincy's website, quincyma.gov, under Departments to Natural Resources, and then you go to the Parks Division, look for parks and playgrounds, and you'd find this map. And you can click on those and see exactly what amenities are available there. Do they have, tennis courts? Do they have a tot lot? Do they have a splash pad? That kind of thing. On the right, we also have a tool for more passive spaces that have trails. And that is, similarly, you would go to Natural Resources, and in this case, you go to the Environmental Division, and then you'd find it. Or you could just go to trails.quincyma.gov. There is a similar map to what you see on the left, where you can zoom in, and I have to give my predecessor, Julie Sullivan, a lot of credit. She came up with the idea to do this Quincy Trails map, and then she worked closely with our GIS folks to implement it. She walked the trails, so there's actually a GIS path for each of those with different amenities that might be available there. And I was surprised that we have over 45 miles of trails. So I invite you to go out and get out in nature and maybe explore some of those. A number of Nationally Registered Historic Places, and almost 400 acres of salt marsh. Of course, you can't walk through all of that, but you can get close to a lot of it and get some beautiful views as you navigate around the city. So why are we talking about open space tonight? What is it about open space that relates to sustainability and makes it so important? So you think about it in a lot of different ways. There isn't really a right or wrong answer to this question. One big way is as we think about resiliency, so climate resiliency in particular. Open space is really important for helping us, whether it's with flood control, whether it's with preventing storm damage. Salt marshes, which I just mentioned, are a really key ecosystem for helping with that. They act as sponges to soak up storm water and storm surge from the ocean when we have storms. Heat mitigation. Trees help cool the air. Open space in general doesn't reflect as much heat as paved surfaces do. So that's one of the things. Another way that we can think about sustainability open space is through this lens of ecosystem services. So that's kind of looking at all the things that nature and natural resource and open space provide to us and seeing how they benefit humans in particular. And they can fall in different categories. There's things like provisioning services, so firewood, crops, medicines that we may get from open spaces. There's also regulating services, pollination, cleaning our air and cleaning our water. There are supporting services, which are these big overarching services that ecosystems provide. Things like photosynthesis and primary production, the fact that plants are the basis of almost all food webs, or the fact that we have water that cycles through our earth. And then there's cultural, which is really quite important. And you might have wondered, why on the last slide did I put things like playgrounds or a basketball court? How is that really that valuable, say? But they are, in fact, really important. So open space gives us our sense of place. They're memories that we may have with our families and friends. People are willing to spend money sometimes to go and, pay an entrance fee to a park. We don't do that here, but, there are reasons that we are very tied to the land that we may have grown up in or that we may visit. We may want to travel and see places. The other reason why it's really important is that, not everybody is going to want to walk all 45 miles of those trails, and that's okay. But somebody who might be out walking their dog or might take their grandchild to a playground, now they're going to have that experience and maybe more likely to want to protect those spaces, to speak up, and if there's some development proposed, they may start learning about why open space is important. So these are all ways that any of us can interact with open space. And then the last one that I'll highlight is biodiversity. So just having a robust open space where we have a lot of different species, a lot of different habitats, many ecosystems, makes us as a community and in our environment, we are more sustainable when we have those healthy, diverse systems in place. And by the way, this is a picture, entice you to get out into open space. This is a picture of the Beachcomber Park that I mentioned a couple of slides ago. It's a passive park. There's a little walking path through there. There's some monuments to the history of the site. Really interesting. I knew a lot of the history, but was surprised at just how many artists had been there. And that little yellow splash that you see in the middle is a pollinator garden that I've been working on, and that is black-eyed Susans. They really tend to pop the first year or two when you put these sort of gardens in. So for the rest of my talk, I'm going to tell you about some flora and fauna, plants and animals, and similar organisms that we can find in Quincy. And so when I was thinking about how do I approach this topic, it didn't seem like I certainly wouldn't have time. I would definitely get in trouble if I tried to go through everything that we have in Quincy. So instead, I'm going to tell you some stories about some different species. But for those who might be interested in knowing a little more comprehensively, what else do we have, I would invite you to check out our open space and recreation plan, it's a city plan. It's on our website, and there's a little more detail in our environmental inventory and analysis section on what is out there. You can also go to things like iNaturalist, which is a website and an app where people record their observations, and you can explore that data. eBird, if you're into birds, is very comprehensive. A lot of people post sightings there. And you can also go to the state for lists of all of the different animals that you can find in Massachusetts, including rare and endangered species. So the tagline to the event tonight was, from the Blue Hills to Quincy Bay. So I thought I would pick to start off with a couple of species that are common that I'm sure everyone here will know. One is the mighty oak on the left. And, we have a lot of oaks. We have a lot of our forests in New England and in Massachusetts have oaks and pines. That's two of the dominant species. But what is it about oaks that are so special? Well, if you compare them to any other tree species, particularly in this part of the world, they support more species and more species diversity than any other tree species, or really any other plant species out there. The current data shows that there are, I want to say, close to 400 different species of caterpillars that rely specifically on oaks. And then if you extrapolate from that to all the birds that eat all those caterpillars, and all the many other organisms, we've all seen squirrels, burrowing the acorns and things like that. I've heard numbers, 2,400 or higher species. I mean, it's orders of magnitude above other species. So this is a scarlet oak that was planted along Furnace Brook, not actually technically in Blue Hills. Scarlet because I wanted something that would really pop. It's near the Parkway and Father McMahon Way. There's a little bench there, and so it'll have a really bright red color in the fall. Then we make our way down to Quincy Bay, and we have this picture of a marsh grass. So this is Spartina patens, also known as salt marsh hay or salt marsh meadow grass. It's got a few different names. And this grass may look quite simple and diminutive compared to our mighty oak, but I assure you it is incredibly important. So salt marshes are the most productive ecosystems in the world. And what that means is that they produce, for each square foot or each acre of salt marsh, they produce more biomass, more food, more plant material than any other ecosystem, sort of on a, similar, on a space by space comparison, if you will. And one of those superstars is this Peyton's grass. It is, and you might wonder, well, I don't see a lot of animals out there chowing on it. I mean, occasionally, but that's not always what's happening. As it decomposes, as it breaks down, it forms that peat in the marsh. You have crabs, you have all kinds of other invertebrates, worms, things that are nibbling on it. A lot of those smaller particles in our coastal and brackish areas get washed in and out with the tides, and they feed fish. They feed many other aquatic organisms, and those, in particular the fish, which often use salt marshes as a nursery, when they get older, they become commercially important fish as well, and shellfish and other things. So, two little snapshots of some superstars, if I will, of our plant world. So, sometimes I talk a bit about invasive species. That's an important issue that we're dealing with here and everywhere really at this point globally. I'm not really going to talk about them tonight, except in so much as I want to highlight just how valuable native species are. So species that are, originally from this area are more valuable from an ecological standpoint, and they can be really beautiful and really interesting plants. And so I just wanted to highlight a few of the ones that we planted at the Beachcomber Park. If you're interested in visiting, if you're just curious about them, or if maybe you're gardening and you're thinking about what else could I plant. So these are all plants that are suitable for a coastal environment. We have sweet pepperbush, which has an incredible smell, also called Sailor's Delight, because as the story goes, in days in the past, sailors could smell it even when they couldn't see land, and so they knew, oh, I'm almost home, I can smell the Sailor's Delight. Northern arrowwood, which has these big purple umbels of berries, which a lot of animals eat. winterberry, because it's great to have a little bit of color in our winter landscape. And then the Virginia rose, which is a nice native rose that really tolerates any sort of harsh coastal conditions. And then a few more. We have butterfly milkweed, which is great for monarch butterflies. Goldenrod. This plant is an absolute rock star and can handle incredibly difficult conditions. If you don't know what else to plant, throw that down and it will probably do very well. Cardinal flowers sadly did not really do very well, but it looked beautiful for a little while. The rabbits really liked it a little bit too much for it to get established, unfortunately. And then switchgrass, a beautiful native grass that a lot of people don't know, also serves, the base of it serves as a overwintering site for solitary bees, many of which are in decline. So that's another little perk there. You know, we also have some smaller fauna, swallowtail butterfly, kind of going from the left to the right, ladybugs, so we're thinking a lot about pollinators at the beachcomber. The next picture over, these are very common, are eastern cottontails. Those are the footprints. And then this is a bird that I just thought was kind of neat. There wasn't a lot yet planted at the park, but this bird was jumping up to eat blueberries from this little blueberry bush. So even when there's not these special or unique animals and that we, you know, maybe don't see that often, there's always something if you look closely. All of these were taken when we had just barely started planting and it, you know, the critters were coming in right away. A few more plants from a different site along Furnace Brook, a flood control and restoration project that we did. This is the northern arrowwood again, showing you its beautiful fall color. Here we have a tupelo or a swamp white oak, and then we have American cranberry bush, which a lot of people don't know about, but is really great for wildlife and has these beautiful red berries. So just showing that there's a diversity of native species out there, not just herbaceous or perennials, but also shrubs and trees. So a few more stories for you. So I talked about flora or plants from the Blue Hills to Quincy Bay. I'd like to talk to you now about fauna from the Blue Hills to Quincy Bay. So the species that you can see in here, right here, there's another little guy there. Anybody know what they are? American eels. So these are catadromous species, which is fairly unusual. So what that means is that they spend their adult lives in our freshwater rivers and streams, and when it is time to mate and have babies, they go out into the ocean, specifically to the Sargasso Sea, which is in the middle of the Atlantic. I forget how many hundreds of miles away it is, but it's very far. And then they come back. So when we did this project at Furnace Brook, we were reconfiguring the brook and we had to move the section of the channel over. When the new section of the brook was ready, we had to move it back. The contractor, fortunately, had done this before and said, you know, we might find some fish or some eels or something that will get stranded. So do you want to come down and try to rescue them? Yes, please. Of course I do. So we did, and we were able to catch, I want to say, probably 30 of them. And there were a lot that we couldn't because they're incredibly fast and slippery. And then just basically catch them and put them into the new channel. So they are out there. This is right in Quincy. And I had been looking, this was months long, this project, and I was looking for them, and I didn't see them until then. What other wildlife might be out there that is sort of hiding? But that's a fun one. And I also put it there because I don't know if they make it to the Blue Hills, but they might. And they do come from Quincy Bay, so they fit that criteria. Sorry, I went the wrong way. Just a couple more animals to highlight. So recently we dredged Sailor's Home Pond, ecological restoration project there. And before dredging, we captured as many of the resident turtles as we could because turtles are really slow moving and we were trying to protect them during the project. And they stayed at the New England Wildlife Center in Weymouth. They are still there. We'll be releasing them soon. I hope it's okay if I plug that event right now, Margaret. Saturday, May 16th from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. If you're interested, we'll be doing a public event and releasing the turtles back into the pond. So on the left, we have a painted turtle. Looks like a male painted turtle. And on the right, we have a snapping turtle getting weighed. And some of them were quite large, many decades old. And then on the total opposite end of the spectrum, one of our tiniest catches, congratulations to Isa, who actually managed to catch this one just snapped them right up. I don't think they knew it was coming. That's a baby snapping turtle. And then on the right, this is this was one particularly spectacular day where we got 4 different species, which is all of the species that we found there. Snapping turtle, 2 painted turtles, a red-eared slider, which is introduced species, and then a musk turtle, which are really rare and kind of secretive, a little bit of a surprise to find them. And I think this is my last slide. We do have a number of rare, endangered, or species of special concern, state-listed species that have extra protection in Quincy. Again, Blue Hills, we've got a spotted salamander. So spotted salamanders are found in vernal pools, which are these ephemeral, i.e. temporary pools that dry up in the summer, but then they are wet over the fall and winter, and these animals rely on those pools to breed. That's why they're rather rare and why you don't usually see them. They come out on rainy nights in the spring to mate. The babies, grow up essentially in the pools, and then before it dries up, they all come into the upland and hide out in little burrows or under the leaf litter. So those are quite fun if you can manage to see them. And there's some other rare species, rare reptiles and other amphibians in Blue Hills as well. And on the right, we have a piping plover. And many folks, I think, will know that piping plovers have been at Wollaston Beach for a number of years. Last year, we had them at Edgewater Drive Beach, one of our municipal beaches. And so we protected them, and they successfully fledged a couple of chicks, which is not a guarantee, so that was a huge deal. And I expect they'll be back. There's a good chance they'll be back this year. That is all. Thank you very much.
I mean, the variety of what our city staff is working on is truly tremendous. So I had been asked by Mayor Koch about 18 months ago to come back and work for him in the city of Quincy. He says, Margaret, I got a call from the governor, and the state's launching this new Resilient Coast initiative, and they're asking me for a point person for our coastal projects, and it has to be you. I said, no, Mayor, thank you. I'm truly flattered, and no, it really wasn't an option. I was voluntold that this was the position, and if it wasn't me, who was going to do this? And we've really been able to put a lot together in a short time. As you see some of the projects, I have this position that I'm honored to cross. I call it Municipal Frogger, and I really get to work with incredible people at every department in the city on the sustainability efforts. And so as they were launching this Resilient Coast initiatives with the Office of Coastal Zone Management at the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, it really struck me, and it was that when you look across the Commonwealth and our watersheds, right, there's 78 coastal communities in Massachusetts. Quincy, one of the largest coastlines of 27 miles. Yet there's powerhouse, nonprofit, decades established watershed coalitions, right? Charles River Watershed, Mystic River Watershed, Neponset River Watershed, the North-South River Watershed. But you know what does not have a powerhouse watershed association? The Weymouth-Ware Watershed, right? So Neponset River Watershed covers 2 of our 27 miles of coastline. It comes down the Neponset River. What it doesn't do is come around Squantum, pick up Quincy Bay, come around Howes Neck, pick up Hingham Bay, come into the Town River, come into the Fore River. And so we really had a need in our advocacy. And so I have been kind of relentless with CZM. We had them come for a 2-hour driving tour with most of the CZM staff and really wanting to advocate for Quincy and to make sure that we're getting our share of the Commonwealth's resources. And Issa, I have to shout out, so Heather, when I got the grant for the energy manager, I went to the invasive species committee and said, hey Heather, do you know any sharp, smart college students with passionate about the environment? I need to hire somebody. And I couldn't have found anybody better, truly, than Issa. And not only is she just rolls with whatever the projects are, and you see how we cross all these departments, she was also the driver of our 2-hour driving tour. It was quite the adventure. So the Commonwealth has broken down into 15 resilient districts. So Quincy is in the Neponset Ware Watershed District and also the Boston Harbor Islands District. they have concerns as they look about where are our most vulnerable areas, and no questions, Quincy ranks number 5th in repetitive loss in the Commonwealth. And so as they look across the Commonwealth for people in housing and built infrastructure and economy, and the cross-sector vulnerabilities, Quincy ranks really high. And so what is it that we can be doing as leading our municipality and leading our region to increase our resiliency? So the city's done a really tremendous job. I mean, generational transformation. Since Mayor Koch took office, Edgewater seawall has been replaced. The Adams Shore Post Island seawall has been replaced. And now this season, we're finalizing our permits for Manat Ave, right? These are the areas that have that highest repetitive loss, highest impact. But in addition to our hardened shoreline, what are the nature-based solutions and what can be working on? So I'm really excited, and this is something I'm giving myself a short time because I probably could have done a whole coastal program on this topic, but we have just been awarded technical assistance from Coastal Zone Management to see if we can stand up what this Neponset Ware Coastal District Watershed Coalition is going to be. We had letters of support in our grant application from the mayors of Braintree, from the mayor of Weymouth, and we've since had the town of Milton and Hull commit to joining us, the city of Boston, and we'll be working with our upriver municipalities. So we are launching with the Tetra Tech has been assigned our engineering firm from the Office of Coastal Zone Management. So we'll be starting things kind of in a behind the scenes, starting looking at our plans, getting the municipal staff together in the first 90 days of that. We also have a Climate Smart Community Initiative grant with Urban Harbors Institute and the Mass Rivers Alliance, and hopefully that funding for community engagement and outreach also comes on board for July. So this is something I'm particularly passionate about. You'll be hearing a lot more as this unrolls. And one of the things inviting many of these community organizations tonight is that each of you are stakeholders in this watershed, and this will be something that will be a citizens group in partnership with municipal staff. Neponset River, we work very closely with them. I said, geez, if you guys could just add capacity, I'll go find you the money, but couldn't you just do this for us? And they are happy to be supportive, but it's just a bit larger of an undertaking. So look for more information on Resilient Coast Quincy and the Neponset Ware Watershed Coalition. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our waste and recycle panel. This is the shortest panel. We front-loaded a lot of heavy content for you. And on this panel, we have representing the Library of Things, Teresa Tagney, our Deputy Director of the Thomas Crane Public Library, and our host this evening. This is a phenomenal meeting space. And recycling and waste reduction from Tom Henry in the City of Quincy DPW Waste and Recycling. And from Compost, someone super passionate, Ruth Davis in the Wollaston Garden Club. Thank you. Teresa.
Okay, thank you all for visiting us tonight. We're happy to have you in our space. So as Margaret said, I'm Teresa Tagney. I'm the Deputy Director here at the library. I've been with the library for about 20 years, but I'm going to talk tonight about a couple of exciting initiatives that we've started post-COVID, so in about the last 4 years or so. So if any of you are not familiar with the library, I encourage you to stop and get a library card. We're open until 9 o'clock. You can do that right upstairs. And we have the main library here, as well as 3 branch locations, which Paul talked a little bit about earlier. So we have our North Quincy branch, we have one in Adams Shore, and we have one in Wollaston as well. We're also part of a resource sharing cooperative called the Old Colony Library Network, which means that you can borrow items from libraries all across the South Shore. Libraries have always had a role in sustainability by sharing resources and also minimizing waste that's caused by individual ownership. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of the key ways that we support sustainability for the public, specifically through our services. So first is our Library of Things, and for those of you who aren't familiar, a Library of Things is a collection of non-traditional items that you can borrow from the library. So we loan out items in the categories of home, hobby, technology, tools, and health and recreation. So just to give you a few examples, you can borrow things like a pressure washer, a KitchenAid stand mixer, an inflatable projector screen, camping equipment. I heard you were interested in an induction cooktop, which you can also borrow from us. Karaoke machine, we have a large collection of cake pans. These items all check out for 2 weeks, and the service is currently only available at the main library, but we're hoping to expand it to our North Quincy branch sometime in the next couple of months. The Library of Things is really cool because it gives people an opportunity to try out items before they buy them, but also it could save them from buying an item they may only use once. This happens a lot with our tool collection. People might need a stud finder to hang something on their wall. They don't have the space to store it, or they don't want to own it, so they may borrow it from us. We also loan out both board games and puzzles. Aside from the physical items we loan out, we also have a large collection of digital materials. So we have a couple of different apps that you can find on our website that offer ebooks, audiobooks, digital magazines, music, streaming, movies, and TV. We offer digital subscriptions to the Patriot Ledger and the New York Times, and you can also get the New York Times add-on, so cooking and games. So those are all free if you get a library card. Our Friends of the Library group is a 501c3 nonprofit volunteer organization, and they raise money to pay for the bulk of our public programming. And if anybody's interested, we have calendars along the wall, and there's some more upstairs as well. They also pay for our museum pass program, and they run the bookstore, which is right out in our atrium. It's closed right now, but it's open quite a lot of hours during the week. And they give donated materials new life, and it all goes directly back into supporting the library. So if anybody's interested, they do have memberships. You can talk to me about that or visit our website for that information. So we offer a large slate of programs for all ages, and some of those are geared specifically towards sustainability. So we offer both a craft swap and a clothing swap a couple of times per year. We also offered a series of classes on clothing mending. We run a warm clothing drive that runs typically late fall to early spring. And we're working on a small take it or leave it food pantry service as well that will launch in the next few months. We've built a small community garden at our Adams Shore branch, and we're launching a seed library there in the spring as well. We work with community partners all the time, so if you're sitting in this room and you don't work with me, please let me know. So recently we partnered with the Neponset River Watershed Association to show the documentary Inundation District about sea level and climate change. We've partnered with Friends of the Blue Hills. I know some of you are here tonight, but please reach out if you're interested in that. And also, if you have a program suggestion, we have a form on our website, or you can talk to me. Lastly, I just want to give a shout out to our makerspace. So if anybody hasn't visited yet, I'd encourage you to check it out. It's currently open only on Wednesday evenings, but we're trying to expand that service as well. We also have registration-based programs that happen in there because the space is small. They're all listed on our calendar. But we have equipment in there like sewing machines, a laser cutter, 3D printers, sewing machines, Cricuts. And one of the very cool things I wanted to highlight in the makerspace is 3D printers, which many of you may have seen or be familiar with. We use biodegradable filament in the printers, which is made from a corn byproduct. And you can use the 3D printer for all sorts of things. So we've seen people come in to make pieces to fix furniture. So you can reprint a knob or a hinge on something. It can be used to repair household appliances. You can replace your remote battery cover, which is always missing in my house. The feet on a keyboard, and you can make replacement board game pieces. So it has a lot of different uses, and instead of throwing things away, it can really help people give their belongings new life. If anybody has any questions, please reach out.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Henry. I am employed as the Waste and Recycling Manager for the DPW. As many of you may or may not know, we've got a rather robust waste diversion in the City of Quincy. And we do so, and it's been very important to the administration to do so without passing along the cost to the residents of the city. So, you know, without the administration backing us, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So, just by show of hands, how many Quincy residents have received the spring newsletter from the DPW? That's awesome, because I always get calls saying that they're concerned that we're not sending it out, or people just haven't been receiving it. So I'm very happy to see the number of people that have received that. So with regards to what we do, like I said, my primary focus is on reduction on the curbside. So we have over 20,000 stops where we collect waste and recycling each week. In addition to that, we've got our drop-off center down the DPW yard, and there's pretty much, you know, you name it from, as you can see from the list, batteries, electronics, metals, books, textiles, yard waste. It's all done at our yard. So what it does, it gives people the opportunity that don't necessarily have access to curbside service to bring their material down to the yard. So presently, we provide curbside service to any resident living in a unit, anywhere from 1 to 8 units and condominiums. So if you live in an apartment building over 8 units, you can avail yourself to the yard for recycling. With regards to electronics, nobody fixes their TV anymore. So just given the way things are going, we've seen a huge increase in the amount of electronics that are being recycled. And, you know, that again can be done curbside by calling Capital Waste, or it can be delivered into the DPW yard. Next up, we've got Mass DEP, their waistband items. So 2 of the newest items that have been issued, most recently is probably the mattresses, and it's been the most costly to the city. I don't know if any of you have seen, you've recently commercials, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, where they're giving you a deal to take your mattress for $90 off the curbside. As part of your city service, as long as you call up and make an appointment, we will pick that up for free. And the same thing holds true for any of your white goods, whether it be your refrigerators, dishwashers, any of those items. You make the call and we will pick it up curbside at no additional cost. And that really has been a priority of the administration, not to pass these expenses along. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. Next, I want to just talk about the hazardous waste events. The city holds 2 hazardous waste events a year. The next one is scheduled for June 20th. And it's a huge list of items that we collect at that time. But inevitably, the top question we get asked every time we hold an event is, can I bring my latex paint? And the city pays based on volume. And latex paint is not a hazardous item. It's a water-based item. So if residents simply crack the lid, add some kitty litter, put some newspaper in and let it harden, they can bag it up and throw it out with the regular trash. There had been some legislation pending where there'd be producer responsibility, where almost like the bottle bill, you pay a deposit on the can of paint when you took it, and you could bring the unused paint back. That has not become law, but it is in the works. Pharmaceuticals, we've got a couple of options down at the police station. Will take your old medication off your hands, and Manit Community Health also has an outlet where you can bring your shop. So if you're diabetic, what we don't want people doing is, and this is years ago, they used to throw their old needles into like a detergent bottle and then throw the detergent bottle into the recycling bin, and then the poor guy who's recycling the material is, you know, he could come in contact with a needle, and that certainly we don't want that for anybody. And then lastly, and I'll close pretty quickly, is the organics. So we, right now we do some curbside organics. Just within the last day or so, Commissioner Hines and the building department were kind enough to supply funds where we can give out another 100 starter kits for those who want to subscribe to curbside collection of organics. We're always looking at new ways to do organics. I know, for instance, the city of Somerville recently put in place these big belly solar compactors where you can collect organics at certain points throughout the city, and that's something we'll certainly be looking into just as a means of diverting more from the landfill. And then I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to pass off to Ruth Davis. Ruth Davis, for those who don't know, she's a Mass Recycle Hall of Famer. So in my prior career, I was with Waste Management. Waste Management, large corporate company, largest recycler in North America. But I had worked with colleges and universities throughout my career, and everybody always held Ruth in high esteem, and I'm just happy I got to go before her. So thank you very much.
he also, thank you very much, I am Ruth Davis, as Tom said. He also did half of my last slide, so I'll be even quicker than I had planned to be. Okay, here we go. All right. So, food waste separation, why is it important? It combats climate change and it helps the plants grow. So we have a food waste separation program at the Quincy Public School System. Here's a little bit of timeline. Started with QCAN. QCAN contacted the mayor's office and said, can we please do something about collecting food waste in the city? The mayor created a composting task force. They met over COVID, but they were dedicated. They presented before the city council. They decided to start with Quincy High School. The loading dock was one of the big features that appealed to the team. They created an operations team. I was on it, Tom, Shelley Dean, Sarah DeFore, and Emily Lebo. It's a picture of Emily Finbar-Heaslip. We hired in January of 2023. We started the pilot at Quincy High School in February of 2023. So with the assistance of the Wallaston Garden Club. And I have to say, I'm from the Wallaston Garden Club, and without the Wallaston Garden Club, this really wouldn't have gotten off the ground because Finbar couldn't have done it by himself. He needed some volunteers, and the women in the club really got together and got it going at Quincy High School. And then, of course, what happened in Quincy, we have North Quincy High School versus Quincy High School. So the principal at North Quincy said, come on over to North Quincy, we want to do this too. So we did start that. It was very difficult to juggle both high schools, but we were very happy in the fall when we were able to get 2 program coordinators hired. Yulia, who's here with us tonight, works at Quincy High School, and then we have Mike at North Quincy High School. We moved on to Atlantic Middle School in the spring of 2025, and then we are now at Broad Meadows, and we're looking to move out of there. But what I wanted to mention is that one of the things is that you have to set up the operation. So what happens before you go to the school, you have to visit the school, see how they move their waste now, how can we seamlessly incorporate food waste into their system. So that's one of the most important things that we do to get the schools going. And then our goal is to get into the other 3 remaining middle schools by the end of 2027. So how's it been going so far? It's been going great. Okay, so this is Ann and Kathy from the Wallaston Garden Club at North Quincy when we opened there. And one of the things we created was a sharing table. So the students have to take 3 elements, milk, a protein, and a vegetable. And for some reason, carrots are not top on the list of students. So we have a sharing table. So if they take something that they don't want, they can leave it there, and then another student will take it. And it's really popular. At Broad Meadows, it seems to be milk. We get a lot of milk and juice. Sometimes we get the cheese. But it's really good because if a student doesn't want it, it doesn't get thrown in the trash anymore. It goes on the share table. Someone else takes it and they can have it. So what else have we been doing? We've been reducing trash. For example, at Broad Meadows, they used to have 4 trash barrels at lunch, and now they only have 1 trash barrel, so we've reduced the trash. We also increased the recycling. The kitchens were recycling cardboard, but we've been able to set them up with a recycling tote so that they can do their cans now. And what has that resulted in? We're pulling 2,500 pounds weekly out of the 4 schools, which is fabulous. So that was going into the trash before, which goes into incinerators and gets burned. And food waste is very water heavy, so it takes a lot of energy to burn food waste. So we're reducing methane by collecting our food waste separately. And what else are we doing? We're educating the students and inspiring them about sustainability. So we have a video that Finbar and I created, and then we give them a quiz about, they get to see the video first, and then a week or 2 in, we do a quiz. That's Finbar. You can see them all jumping out of their chairs. Could be because we give them candy if they get the answer correct. But they're still really into it. We have very little contamination, like 90%, no problem at all. Okay, so Tom already hit the highlights of this residential curbside. So we want to thank Commissioner Hines for getting us more money for the kits. So what are the kits? The starter kits are this, the green bin at the bottom. Margaret's got one out on display. And how does it work? Well, you really need something at your kitchen countertop to collect the food waste. So this is my house, and I want to, full disclosure, I do very little cooking in my house. So, but I do a little. But anyway, we put the kitchen desktop, kitchen top bin right next to the cutting board. So there you go, you're just cutting up, boom, goes right in. What happens to it next? Take the thing outside. This is mine, my setup right outside my garage. I've got my little green bin next to my recycling bin, next to the trash. So when it's full, I go out, throw it in, pickup is on Thursdays. Okay, so it is really simple. You also get a voucher from Black Earth. I should give them credit, they're our vendor. They pick up on Quincy on Thursdays. So I want to thank you. Separating your food waste is a really simple thing to do, but it has a really great impact. So let's separate your food waste from the trash and help the plants grow. Okay, thank you very much.
Hall of Famer, Ruth, you are. You really check in on me regularly with what's happening and how can you be helpful. It truly is the city. We are so grateful to have so many great volunteers, so many great city personnel. Thank you all to our panelists. Let's give them all another round of applause. Sustainable Quincy, from the Blue Hills to Quincy Bay. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions after, they want to catch me on your cards or touch base with me, I'm happy to facilitate that. Thank you all very much for coming.